Obnoxious? It's been more than 3 months. How come you haven't released a new video? Ah, I see.
I don't know what to make. I scrapped like 3 ideas so far, because they all suck ass.
Well, what have you been playing?
I don't know. Dispatch was pretty good, but not much I'd want to talk about. Other than that, I've been playing a ton of Deadlock. Playing to the point where I'm practically addicted, and it's the only thing I think and talk about. Man, I love that game so much. If only there was a viable format where I could pour in all my thoughts and talk about it in a condensed amount of time.
Obnoxious?
Yeah.
You're a fucking idiot.
Deadlock. Alright, you've probably heard what this game is at this point, but I'll still speedrun it for those who don't know. Deadlock is Valve's newest game. It's the funny toxic cancer game type. MOBAs. But unlike other funny toxic cancer game types, this one has hero shooter mechanics. You got aiming, you got jumping, you even got fumbling a fucking kill. Come on, he's won! It's still in active development, meaning stuff is definitely changing. Looking at you, Fivehead. Yeah, no, I can see you. One thing that definitely doesn't look unfinished about this game, though, is these. This game takes place in a bizarre version of 1940s New York where, after an event called the Maelstrom, every aspect of the occult and paranormal are now a common reality. New York, the Big Apple, now being called the Cursed Apple. And yeah, I think this might be the best map in multiplayer shooter history. Okay, that might not be exactly fair since this game only has the one map, but it's my video, so fuck you. This map is truly jam-packed with amazing little details like advertisements for items you can actually buy. Or even an advertisement hitting at Pocket's backstory as the CEO's child. I got it right. Of course, the map does have this inevitable gamey feel. I mean, why are there weird fire golems just attacking anything that come near in the middle of the streets? But I still think that despite the obvious gaminess, the map still has this lived-in aspect where you could actually believe people are living here when there aren't maniacs fighting in the literal streets. Okay, honey, I'm heading off to work. Here's what I mean about this lived-in feel I'm talking about. Many buildings aren't just blank buildings. Most of them contain signs that identifies them. The one room near the walker where the urn can be deposited actually has a club at the top. This particular building is actually the Baroness Hotel, where this sack of shit works. And these areas aren't just sprinkled in at random, they're carefully placed to make it feel like a miniature version of New York. York Lane's architecture is older, having this big church and graveyard. And next to it is this incredibly detailed library. Broadway contains a lot of apartments and simple commerces like bodegas. And Greenwich is a harbor containing mostly industries and foundries. And the subway. The subway is so disgusting. Yeah, that's it. I love when instead of just having boring brick walls to block off sections, games instead add diegetic walls, like this gate blocking off the way to the actual subway. One thing is how well this game uses verticality. You can climb ropes to get on roofs, and these are incredibly packed with details as well. There are giant billboard ads for companies, and some roofs contain occult graffitis. And you cannot forget about the fire pit. I have no clue what this is or why it's there, but it's the coolest fucking shit I've ever seen in this entire lifetime. And I gotta say, the new spawn bases look phenomenal. I love how the Archmother side looks like it's a big museum, maybe using ancient artifacts to power up the shrines, while the Hidden King side is a foundry, forcefully taken by the patron, with the guardians and shrines being made out of the same floorboards he destroyed to get there. Of course, there are so many more details contained in this map, which is why it's so fun to explore in a private match. You know, being able to calmly look at things without the threat of an overfed silver coming to fuck you in the ass. Wolf among us my ass, the wolf is inside me. Back even earlier in development, this game's setting used to be all futuristic, and while there's nothing wrong with a futuristic Neon City setting, I am so glad they chose the occult 1940s New York vibe. It makes this game stand out in the crowd of futuristic shooters like Marvel Rivals and Overwatch. The magic and occult system gives so much possibility for heroes, without making them stand out or have abilities that don't fit the setting. Oh, that was weird. Get back down there, you fucking stupid bebop. You defeat my entire argument. The amount of detail even extends to the game's main menu. This is...
No more sleeping. Need your help. Then sleep more.
Whenever you're not in a game, you can spend time here just chilling. Whether you're testing out builds or having 1v1s against your friends, you can truly do everything here.
Well, you can't fight minions here, or practice parrying, or even use debug tools.
Well, turns out you can't do everything! These types of menus are typically very hit or miss. Functionally, it's just a menu where you have to physically go to the options and then you can interact with them. Games like Dragon Ball FighterZ or Monster Hunter use hub menus as a social gathering where you can hang out with people or do various different activities. But if you don't care about socializing, like me, the hubs can be somewhat tedious. The best thing the hideout does is simply allowing the player to learn controls on their own in a calm environment. Other MOBAs tend to throw you into a tutorial as soon as you open the game, where you'll get about 20 minutes worth of boring lectures about the game's mechanics. I downloaded Dota 2 to test out some things and see what is different in other games, as I'm pretty unfamiliar with most traditional MOBAs. And for my first time, I hopped in a bot game and I'll just give you a dramatic recreation. Okay, so that's a lot of characters. What do these roles mean? Okay, I guess I'll take this one because he's low complexity, I guess. What the fuck is all this? Alright, okay, I'm in a match now. I know MOBAs are traditionally click to move, so let me try that. Oh, would you look at that? I was right. But why is the camera not following? Well, let me try pressing buttons. Maybe that'll help. Maybe this one makes the camera, like, jump to me. What the fuck? Why am I a horse now? What is this? How do I get out of this? I don't know how to get out of this. What the fuck? What is wrong with it? What is happening? I then alt F4'd. The hideout is more like a waiting room where you can shit around while waiting to be matched. Truly, my only gripe I have with it is that you can't queue for a game while in the training area. I can't count the number of times I've left the queue to quickly test something, only to have to walk back to the main area just to queue again. It's really not that big of an issue, it's just a personal pet peeve. But honestly, the visuals make up for it, because this area is stunning. I love the atmosphere of the fireplace. It's calm, but you always have the ominous paintings staring at you. And with this game's setting, I wouldn't be surprised if they were haunted. The fireplace is where you can find the Learn to Play option, where you'll get explanations of the game's mechanics. The explanations of the mechanics are very simple and to the point. They don't try to tell you the nuances of said mechanics. They just say, this is the mechanic and this is how you do it. Figure out the fucking rest yourself. I like this tutorial structure because it doesn't bore you to death with an incredibly long and bloated tutorial, scrambling to make you remember all the shit they throw at you. Deadlock teaches you the basics, and then lets you experiment with the more complicated mechanics. Coming back to me testing Dota 2 earlier, yes, I skipped the tutorial, which I agree is my fault. But at the same time, I didn't really feel like doing these. Without including the full game, just the first page of tutorials is around 27 minutes, and that's just to learn basic mechanics. Deadlock doesn't really need to have long, bloated, drawn-out tutorials because of the simplicity of the controls. And if you want to easily learn the game's basic mechanics while still playing it... more on this later. Next to the staircase is the theater, where you can spectate ongoing games. What? Why is it cutting back to me? It's spectate. You spectate games. What the fuck do you want me to say? When you stare out the windows, you'll see a beautiful view of the Cursed Apple. The giant window in the training area always catches my eye. I love how its shape lets you see the true scales of the buildings in front of you. And the giant neon sign always intrigued me. What is it supposed to be? Maybe a company's logo? Or is it perhaps a symbol used to ward off negative spirits and demons? Am I going to try and find a deep lore explanation for this symbol? Hell no. Who the fuck do you think I am? A competent video maker? But game theories aside, the red hue it emanates, complemented with the graffitis and torn posters, give the training room this hostile aura. A fun detail I love is that Ava, that's the cat, will run and chase this ball if you melee it. She'll also chase Vindicta's laser. Fuck! I just killed the cat! Calico's gonna fucking kill me. Yeah, it turns out Ava and the bird in the training room are actually Calico and Greytalon's pets, respectively. And while I'm mentioning these two together, have you ever noticed how both Greytalon and Calico have prosthetic arms? That's because both of them, alongside Shiv, are or were members of the Baxter Society, a monster hunting group co-founded by Greytalon. Now, why do they all cut their right arms? I don't fucking know. Maybe a ritual to get power? Maybe it's just an initiation. The lore of Deadlock is filled with mysteries, but honestly, that's what makes it so fun to piece together. Every character has their bios that explains their basic goals or reasons why they're performing the ritual. Oh yeah, games in Deadlock aren't just random fighting. Every game of Deadlock has omnipotent elder gods, the patrons, tasking 6 heroes to destroy the other patron, promising to grant them a wish if they succeed. Every character has their own reason to participate in the ritual. May it be for selfless reasons, like for Ivy, who wants to keep her neighborhood safer, or others that are just seeking answers, like Paige, who wants to learn what happened to her brother who mysteriously vanished. And then there's Lash, who just wants to do it for ego's sake and prove he's better than stupid fucking Bebop over there. Hey Bebop, your uppercut sucks! I love this reasons for the characters to fight, because it explains why some of them that would never work together are setting aside their differences. I don't want to bloat this video by explaining the lore of every single character, but if you're interested, I highly recommend this video by Everbaron. I mentioned the lore here because it's integral to me mentioning these character designs. Almost all characters in Deadlock have amazing designs with details that are intentionally put in to tell you their lore organically. Seven's electrical abilities are reflected in his entire design, having these wires and Tesla coil looking things all over his body. And his classic black striped prisoner shirt demonstrates that not only is he an escaped convict, but it also shows that being subtle is not in his worries, since he's still wearing the shirt, almost keeping it as a trophy, showing that he escaped from the most secure prison ever. Infernus is a bartender, so not only does he have amazing class, he has cocktail shakers at his hips and a rag over his shoulder. The only reason I say almost all characters have amazing designs is because... yeah. While some characters look awesome, others are clearly unfinished. One of them being lifted straight from another game. But even the unfinished characters are bursting with personality. Viper's design is forgettably plain, but her voice lines are so cleverly written and funny, it makes her memorable just based on her horny quips.
You smell even better when you're awake.
Again, this is a free game still in active development, and it's not like the devs are going to abandon this game. They've actually been really transparent about a lot of things, which is very refreshing to see from a live service game. Every update have been strictly about improving the game, or adding fun, free events. None of that, still in beta, but most of our updates are just adding paid skins and not fixing the game bullshit. Deadlock is a hero shooter. You know how those work. I'm not gonna bore you explaining it. Alongside the basic obvious shooter mechanics, Deadlock includes movement. You can dash, double jump, air dash jump, and wall bounce. The kicker is, you can't just perform these moves nilly-willy. All of these movement options cost stamina. Stamina slowly regenerates, but each movement option costs 1 full bar. The movement itself is so fun to experiment and play with because of how versatile it can be. For example, you can try to bait cooldowns by jumping forward and then dashing backwards. Or you could combo a dash jump into a wall bounce to go further while keeping your momentum. And another trick that makes me feel like the king of escapes is when I go around a corner and then wall bounce to juke chasing enemies. The best part about the movement is that it doesn't make the game extremely unwelcoming to new players by requiring an insane amount of aim to counter. And this is what Deadlock does best as an introduction to MOBAs. It makes an incredibly unwelcoming genre have a familiar feel that most players will instantly be able to pick up. Sliding is another mechanic that Deadlock has. Sliding isn't that unfamiliar to most shooters. Just ask any COD player under the age of... What's the minimum age where you can get a job again? The way Deadlock makes sliding unique is by giving players infinite ammo while they're sliding. Some characters might not get good benefits out of it, but characters like Ivy and especially Viper can get really crazy with it. But every character can definitely benefit from it, especially if they buy items like Enduring Speed or Stamina Mastery. Huh? Press B to shop? Okay, now this is, on the surface, the deal breaker for many. Deadlock is a MOBA. In MOBAs, you buy items using currency. You get that currency by killing anything, really. This is what turned me off this game when I first started, and I get how it can turn you off too. But trust me, it's not as bad as it sounds. By default, you can purchase 9 items. You then unlock 3 extra slots when destroying each walkers. There are 3 categories of items: weapon, vitality, and spirit. The first 2 are self-explanatory, but what is spirit? Spirit is basically magic. Most abilities deal and scale with spirit power. Viscus's Goo Ball and Warden's Cage both deal spirit damage, for example. There are exceptions to this rule, so make sure to read your abilities carefully. It's also important to note that for some characters, certain stats will scale with spirit as well. Like for example, life regen for Victor or ammo capacity for Yamato. So yeah, read your fucking stats. So we now know what each items are roughly going to upgrade. Want to gun down enemies? Run orange items. Do you want to be a tank? Run green items. And you get the point. The complicated part for most people is when you need to mix in different types of items in combination with your character's unique abilities and weapons. Like, Pocket has a pretty powerful gun, but all their abilities seem to deal good spirit damage. Should I build spirit items on them because of that? And honestly, the beauty of this game is that, well, you do what you want. There isn't an easy way to learn all of these items' effects. You just kind of get what they do with time. And if you don't have that time, oh, you just wait. You just wait. To begin, I suggest finding a general build with many annotations to learn what your character can do and what items are good at what point of the match. Then, with time, you can branch out and get items that... What are you doing?
Oh, I'm going on a site to find builds.
Oh, you silly League player. This isn't Riot Slop. Let me show you the way. No need to open a build guide in your second monitor. Thanks to Valve's fantastic player experience innovations, you can actually seek, create, and upload builds all seamlessly in-game. Finding builds for how you want to play your character is so quick and easy. You can add filters to highlight a specific ability, item, or damage type. I personally really dislike playing Spirit Pocket, and I genuinely thought it was the only viable build for them. But the game easily let me find a build that focused on their gun. A more favorable option in my case. That's truly the beauty of Deadlock. You can build for what parts of a character you like. It may not be effective, but if you practice enough with it, I'm sure it can work in casual matches. Or even do meme builds that suck ass, but holy crap, they're fun. Dude. Green Abrams. Green Abrams. One build I always run, despite how underwhelming it truly performs, is Melee Lash. It's just not that good because Lash, unlike characters like Abrams or Billy, doesn't have the sustain to stay in enemies' faces. But it's so fun, I don't care if I'm basically throwing the game. Melee is another familiar mechanic that Deadlock makes unique. Other hero shooters as Melee typically have 1 or 2 uses. Sometimes it can be used to finish off low enemies, or you can use it to reload cancel. In Deadlock, Melee is a bit more intricate. You have 2 options, light and heavy. Light melee is closer to the universal melee mechanics of other hero shooters. It's a short-range jab you can perform as a quick burst of damage to take down low enemies. The real interesting one though is the heavy attack. When holding the melee button, your character starts to charge up, they then dash and attack. The heavy melee does a lot of damage early on, and because of the short homing dash forward, it is great to finish off enemies around corners or when they're trying to escape.
So you can just do damage that homes into enemies for free. Isn't that broken?
Ecto, you have more hours than me on this game. Why are you asking me that?
You told me to read this, I don't know.
You see, some characters in this game are actually built mainly with melee in mind. And yeah, at first glance, it does seem broken that they can just get in, be tanky as hell, and just have guaranteed damage on you. And in one fucking case, it absolutely is. This is until you learn to perform Deadlock's most satisfying action. This game has parrying. Parrying a melee stuns the attacker for a few seconds, and when they're stunned, they take increased melee damage. But here's the kicker. If missed, the parry has a short cooldown before it can be used again. This means that if the opponent initiates a melee attack and then turns away to bait the parry, you are left vulnerable to the next melee attacks. This mechanic takes what could be a very linear and one-dimensional strategy into an insane mind game, where you and your opponent both try to juke and bait each other. Melee is often used early in laning phase because of how much damage it does. What's laning phase, you might ask? It's one of Deadlock's 3 main phases, and I'm about to break it down right about now. The laning phase is the most straightforward of Deadlock's 3 main phases. It should also be the most familiar phase to you if you're used to hero shooters. This early, souls are very hard to come by, meaning everyone is stuck purchasing tier 1 or 2 items that don't impact the game as much as tier 3 or 4, which leaves players to fight only using their base guns and abilities. If you have good hero shooter fundamentals, this phase should feel very similar to games you're familiar with. It's actually quite normal when you compare it to whatever the fuck is happening here. The objective in this part of the game is to destroy the enemy guardian. This sounds very simple, maybe get a couple of picks on the other team and destroy the objective. What's so hard about that? Guardians are the typical Moba tower, which attacks anything coming in its range.
Well, in League, I may not be able to hurt the tower because I can't physically attack it outside its range. But Deadlock is a shooter, so couldn't I just shoot it from far away?
So you know enough about League of Legends to know how towers work, and you cannot put together how they would function in this game?
Well, seeing as how I have 666 hours on this game, but have been continually asking questions about basic mechanics, no. Do tell me.
To destroy the Guardian, you have to let minions draw its attention so you can attack it safely. Every few seconds, minions automatically get transported from spawn to the furthest point pushed on the zipline. They're vile creatures. The only thing fueling their existence is the blood of anything unfortunate enough to come in their path. Killing minions is the main way that you acquire this game's currency, souls. An important mechanic with minions is that upon defeat, half of the souls will drop on the floor and can be acquired only by your team when moving close to them, and the other half is contained in this floating orb that will automatically give you the souls after a short period. See, that orb can be shot to acquire the souls early, and you can see the enemy orbs. Do you get where I'm going? Shooting enemy orbs grants you the half they would have gotten. It's important to try and deny these because not only does it give you more souls, it'll prevent them from getting it. It's a true win-win. For you, not for them, they lose. But in the same fashion, they can deny your souls, so be careful when killing minions. And also, meleeing a minion gives you all the souls and skips the floating orb. Don't be predictable with it though, because yeah. You can also get souls by either killing creeps that spawn in at 2, 6, and 8 minutes, destroying crates that contain them, and killing enemy heroes. But truly, minions are the best way to farm since 1. They're the most accessible and easy thing to kill, and 2. It's always important this early in the game to push the minions forward because they are the best way to put pressure on the opposing team. Controlling troopers on the battlefield is this constant tug of war, and knowing when to get in and trade is really satisfying. Or at least making enemies think that you're doing good trades. The best pressure you can give enemies is the illusion that you're the GOAT. And sometimes you are. What I mean is that at that point you only fight 2 opponents that aren't built up yet. This more controlled environment more easily allows players to fight against not only the enemies as characters, but also their psyche. Like, surely that silver wouldn't just jump me when I'm behind the Guardian. She's gonna die. It's a tug of war, yes, but it's also kind of a poker game where you can get away with truly stupid shit if your enemies fall for your bluff.
Oh my god.
Crazy
I wanted to
greed.
confirm that.
Unlike most traditional hero shooters, Deadlock does not have hero roles like healer, tank, or DPS. Some heroes are inclined towards a specific playstyle. Abrams is a tank and Paige is a support, for example. But the game doesn't force players to have a balanced team composition. Actually, it's kind of the opposite. The game is designed to make you not know what you're going against with who, since you pick a roster of at least 3 characters as you enter queue. This might sound like an annoyance, especially if you're laned against someone who counters you. But you're not supposed to just do the same strategy every match, and the item system is how you play against bad matchups. Once, I was playing with Lash, a character that dives bombs enemies on the ground, against Vindicta, the sniper characters that stays in the air most of the time. At first, I kinda groaned and considered switching lanes. Until I noticed that Bebop was in the lane as well, and I can't look like a bitch against dumbass Bebop. So I stayed in, and just bought items like Knockdown against the Vindicta so she would fall to the ground. That's actually not fucking true. We destroy them so bad, I didn't even need Knockdown. What I'm trying to say is that the lack of defined roles isn't a problem. It makes team compositions more varied, but also allows characters to build however they want, since teammates aren't dependent on them. In general, this is the best thing that comes out from not having roles. It allows players to not have to rely on teammates for basic necessities like healing, without removing the need for team play and coordination. Healing is very poor in lane. Your best options this early on would be items like Healing Right, Extra Regen, or Restorative Shot. But even then, all of these heal very slowly. The fastest option to heal back to full is usually to reset.
Be right back.
Resetting is when you head back to spawn to heal quickly and then head back.
Are you sure this is quicker?
Instead of having a teleport like other MOBAs, every lane on the map has a zipline that extends when the lane is pushed. The zipline is a fantastic way to quickly navigate around the map, and with how long the respawn timers can take later in the game, it's great to be back in the action quickly and not have to painstakingly walk back in lane. And they don't make escaping a bad situation easy, because you can't use the zipline when you take damage. And if you get shot while you're on it, you get punished by getting stunned for like 5 seconds. At least that's what it feels like. Though you can exploit this by constantly jumping off the zipline and back on, giving you the speed without the risk of getting knocked off. I'm just saying this as someone who abuses the fuck out of this exploit. I feel like I shouldn't get away with it. When a Guardian is destroyed in your lane, the game truly opens options, because that's usually when the second phase of Deadlock starts. Mid-game is when the match truly starts to open up. If you have a big soul advantage over your opponents, one person can start ganking other lanes while the other keeps defending. When mid-game starts, the match stops being move forward, destroy objectives, and becomes more of a non-linear battle royale-like playground. If you're a regular hero shooter fan, this is probably where you'll start to feel overwhelmed. A lot of new players start to fall back when mid-game starts because they aren't really sure what they should be doing. Destroying the walkers in this section of the game is important, since it pushes the lanes and gets your team more item slots. But the true objectives in this phase is mostly to build yourself up and shit on the other team. Yes, technically that's the point of the entire game, but in mid-game it's more important. Like I brought earlier, farming minions is a very efficient way to get souls. If you're beginning to fall back on souls, just try to farm alone as much as possible. Souls automatically get split between every teammate in a lane, so locate spots not occupied by your team to get more souls. But stay vigilant still. Enemies could always be lurking and trying to prey on the weak players trying to catch up. Honestly, in most cases, if someone stronger gets the jump on you, it's way better to just run away. Mid-game is where you really need to start having good awareness. Keep in mind that in this game, the best skill you can have is to pick your battles. Just like in lane, winning a battle isn't always about kills. It's often about how much can you bully your opponent enough for them to leave so you can have more space. Get what I'm talking about, kids? In life, you don't have to kill your opponents to defeat them. Instead, you can bully them. Bullying is good. You should always communicate with your team. Since the map is now packed with stuff to do, it's not rare that you'll take a fight with an opponent thinking they're alone, only for the entire team to come and steamroll you. You might not have to rely on teammates for stuff like healing in Deadlock, but so many abilities and items are designed to have a use for both enemies and allies. Viscus's cube works like May's cryo freeze, but unlike her, Viscus can use it on allies to slightly heal and shield them. Trust me, I still see the stupidest interactions even after 400 hours played in this game. And same goes for Bebop's hook, which can be used to pull allies out of bad situations. Which is annoying when the fucking clanker doesn't know what a bad situation is. And same goes for most supportive active items. They support. I don't know what else to say, it's that straightforward. This part of the game is also the perfect time to start buying items to counter your opponents. Because you can't counter opponents by swapping your characters mid-game, you need to counter them by buying certain items. Having the awareness to buy counters is truly the best skill a player can have in Deadlock. I'll give you guys a few item options to buy to counter certain playstyles, because this game truly feels great when you start having that awareness to play to your enemy's weaknesses. If an enemy is stunning you a lot, make sure to grab Reactive Barrier or Debuffer Dude. It's simple, but it upgrades into Spellbreaker, which is a great spirit counter. I'll say this quickly. Some item upgrades into their higher tiers. It just means that if you have the former, the upgrade is going to be cheaper and take up the same slot. If enemies are spamming their guns or cooldowns, purchase items like Disarming Hex for weapons or Silence Wave for abilities. And if you want to get called slurs, grab Curse. And lastly for now, if you can't kill enemies because they heal all the damage you do, please buy at least one of these items. Of course, choose wisely based on which character or build you and the opponent are running. Like I said, 20 seconds ago, situational awareness is key to winning games in Deadlock, because every choice you make has a small impact on the game, especially as the match goes on longer. A death at 5 minutes might not impact the game much, but die at 20 to 30 minutes and you'll get punished heavily by giving enemies souls and rewarding you with a sweet visit to your second monitor to scroll Twitter for the next 60 seconds.
Did you say games last 20 to 30 minutes?
Most of the time 40 minutes actually.
How do you play this game?
The long respawn timers later in the match makes players think before they go in and attack. You don't just have to think about their health, but also how many souls do they have compared to me? What build are they running? Are they alone or do they have teammates nearby? Could they escape easily in that position? So many times I'll have teammates run headfirst into a fight against 2 or 3 enemies way more fed than them. Deadlock is designed to give the player a lot of information about enemies. You can see their health and location when they're in combat, the amount of souls they have, and the build they're running. The games being this long is crucial to players slowly building stronger without drastically affecting the pacing of the match. If matches were closer to 10 to 15 minutes, you would need to get more souls to compensate for the shorter time. Therefore, everyone would get strong way too fast and we would lose that slow sense of progression that allows players to not only adapt their build, but also their playstyle. Keep in mind, games being longer means more mistakes can be made. More mistakes made means more opportunities to learn from those mistakes. And also, slowly becoming stronger is just satisfying, and I think that's personally why I don't mind the long games. Personally, when I'm in a good game, I just kind of forget about the timer because I'm more focused on how fun it is to get stronger. And that's when I'm in a good game, because I'll be perfectly honest, when you're in a bad game, yeah, the long timer sucks ass. A bad game of Overwatch lasts maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then you're done. But when Deadlock isn't fun, it isn't fun for long. This goes for pretty much all MOBAs, honestly. I think League of Legends allows players to just forfeit a match if it's not going well, and I honestly think it would be a good thing in Deadlock. Maybe it would be a good thing to make players be able to forfeit after only a certain soul difference, or after a certain amount of time. Just something so impatient TikTok brain-rotted idiots can't forfeit right off the bat, you know? If you're still turned off by the match length, might I suggest taking a look at Street Brawl? Street Brawl is the newest mode added to Deadlock. Games only last usually 10 to 15 minutes. The main goal in this game mode is to destroy the objective in a single lane. It works as a best of 5, with the last round having you destroy a walker instead of a guardian.
Obnoxious. We don't care about what the objective is. How does it make the items work?
I'm getting to it, jeez. Instead of slowly building up souls to buy items, you get to choose out of 3 randomly selected items 3 times. Oh, and yep, that's the annoying overcompetitive sweats fuming because I said the word random. I'm warning you right now, do not take this mode too seriously. It's purposefully been created to be wild and chaotic, even in the items. Some items have special modifiers that either enhances their abilities to crazy proportions, or even gives you extra items with their selection. They even added brand new legendary items that have insane effects like infinite ammo. That's it. You just don't have to reload anymore. Or this item called Rune Gauntlets. Remember that whole talk about how parry made the melee a constant baiting game? Well, throw that shit out the door because Rune Gauntlets breaks parries. At its core, this mode is just silly fun. I mean, think about it. You get 8 players constantly on the same lane with all abilities unlocked from the beginning. You can drop a piano as a legendary item. Come on, how can you take this seriously? But in all honesty, Street Brawl is fantastic if you just want to learn the mechanics of Deadlock. The matches are very short, so you don't have to suffer long if you're losing. And the way items are selected helps to learn their effects without feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of them. I highly recommend this mode if you either just want to have silly fun, warm up, or even just want to learn the game. Okay, now back to the mid-game. The core of the mid-game of Deadlock is to balance getting yourself stronger, defending the lanes, and pushing the lane. Yes, when I strip it of all nuance and say it like this, it does sound pretty straightforward, but trust me, keeping that balance is very tough. What helped me and my friends a lot is to not get overwhelmed. Don't try to learn everything at once. When you're starting out, just try to push unoccupied lanes without overextending. This will help your team because it always pressures the enemies and helps your team and you get stronger. When you start then getting comfortable with the game, you could start entering team fights. Team fights are a different breed in Deadlock. A lot of shit goes on in them. That's why I don't necessarily recommend you engage in them when you're starting out. Do take my tips with a grain of salt. I'm not a pro player, this is just what helped me to learn the game without feeling overwhelmed. It's always a good idea to defeat the last walker as a team because their health pool gets bigger the more of them are down. Hot take, I fucking hate fighting walkers. I can never pinpoint their range even after Valve graciously added markers for the range of their laser attack and stomp. And that stomp just pisses me off. When all walkers are defeated on one side, this is typically when the final phase of Deadlock starts. Late game is very interesting. It's kinda like a mashup of the previous 2 phases. You have the more focused objective-based aspect of laning, combined with the openness of mid-game. The objective late game, and the objective of the entire match really, is to destroy the patron in its weakened state. To achieve this, you first need to destroy the 2 shrines protecting the patron, and then destroy its first phase. It then sinks into this pit where if it gets defeated, you win or lose. Just like the rest of the objectives, it sounds simple on paper, but when playing the game, it can get very messy and chaotic. Late game is where players are at their strongest, so it's not like you can just walk in their base nilly-willy. It's smarter in this part of the game to always try to stick with your team. Team fights are the most common in this part because there's honestly not many reasons to stay alone anymore. Unless you quickly want to push a lane or farm to catch up on souls, staying with your team is the most favorable option. It's also important because dying alone in a lane means you won't be contributing to the team for a long time. Death in late games mean an extremely long respawn timer and also giving the enemy team a great amount of souls. While the punishment is very harsh, it's implemented on purpose to actually make the game move along, and honestly, it makes engaging in team fights all the more exhilarating, because I mean, have you ever engaged a team fight with 85 seconds on the line? Please, please, please use your judgment to determine what fight to take. If you're just 2 and the dumbass warden decides to push the entire team like a dunce, please do not follow him. Also, quick tip for you Overwatch and Marvel Rivals players out there, stop thinking of your ultimate as an ultimate ability. Unless you're playing one of these 2 characters. What I mean by that is that you should think of your ultimate as just another cooldown and use them whenever they'd be useful. 60 to 100 seconds might be long in any other hero shooter, but remember that games in Deadlock are minimum 30 minutes long. So that 60 to 100 seconds is not that long, and the value you can get by just using them whenever is often better than it would have been if you saved it. Of course, this isn't black and white, use it or don't. You'll have to judge depending on the situation. Using Haze ult on a low health, out of stamina drifter might not be the best value you could get, unless you value mental torment. If your team is behind on souls, try not to engage in team fights much. Remember, winning a fight isn't always about what team gets the most kills. All I'm saying is, don't be a hero unless you built yourself to be a hero.
I thought you said it was important to play with your team.
Yeah, well, like they say in Lifeguard Academy, don't help Amina fighting a 1v6. In her panic, she might take you with her.
That is not what they say.
If you notice an enemy has been absolutely destroying your team and is still destroying your team, it is not too late to counter them. Again, here's a chart of playstyles and their counters. It is imperative you counter them because in this game, one player can genuinely carry the entire match. When many players are missing from one team, fighting the mid-boss is a good way to get more souls and the Rejuvenator. The mid-boss spawns in this big metro pit in the middle of the map at 10 minutes. Defeating it lends you some souls and slowly drops this meleeable rune. This is the Rejuvenator. Upon its destruction, it gives the entire team a buff that, on death, instantly revives them at 100% health. This buff makes the entire team scary to fight, as you now have to kill 3 of the opponents twice. But the slow drop of the rune is what makes fighting the mid-boss when everyone is up risky. The mid-boss makes a loud noise when it's at 70% health, so if your team is coordinated enough, you can try to steal the Rejuvenator and run away. Or you could engage in a team fight in the arena, which is the most chaotic things that can happen in a regular game. The mid-boss in general is a really interesting game mechanic. It's a strategic tool that both teams have access to at all times, so make sure you use it when the opportunity is good. Or don't. Fuck it. Fight the mid-boss at 10 minutes when everyone is still up. Laning is for pussies anyways. When you finally have good opportunities to push lanes and reach the enemy base, you'll be greeted by 2 guardians. They attack you when you get close. They're not that different from regular guardians. Both bases have the patron in the middle and 2 shrines on the side. To damage the patron themselves, you need to destroy both shrines. Do be careful though, every time you remove a 1/6 of the shrine's health, it will attack with an AoE that curses you, so be careful. When both shrines are destroyed, you can now attack the patron. I'll be honest, it might just be that my rank is absolute dog shit, but whenever you get the momentum to destroy both shrines, you typically can also take down the first phase of the patron. But when the patron is transforming, enemies that are already dead get their respawn timers shortened. In its second phase, the patron can only be damaged when standing in the pit. It's best to take down enemies' heroes as fast as you can, because when at least 2 of them are standing in the pit, the patron stops taking damage. They semi-recently put this mechanic in to prevent players from just rushing the patron and winning without being able to put up a fight. And this change was a welcome one. It adds more strategy to the endgame and gives a fighting chance to losing players. Before, no matter if both teams were alive, the team attacking would almost always win. I used to not really like this change because I was scared it was going to introduce some annoying counterplay options where people would spam items like Colossus, Ethereal Shift, or Cheat Death. And then I calmed the fuck down and realized that at my rank, Deadlock players are too dense to be able to counterplay. And yes, that does include me. Conclusion, Deadlock is just fantastic, man. Everything I feel is done so well. The visuals are stunningly unique. Characters are wacky but lovable. The lore is mysterious and intriguing. The music is just so bopping, and the core gameplay just feels so good to play around with. It's astonishing that this is still a game not even in open beta yet. I cannot wait to see what's next for this game, and Yoshi, look at me when I say this. Thank the entire staff on my behalf for making a game that can not only give joy to my soulless, cigarette-rotten heart, but make its blood boil like almost no other game has done before. Anyways, that's it. Eat shit and die, bitch.